Actually, somebody's just walked in. Hello again. So I'm Toby. You should have all met me on Saturday. I've taken over from Ben doing this webinar today, as unfortunately he's lost his voice. So yeah, I asked you guys just to do a quick poll of what you'd be using Sprift for, what your investment strategies are, just so we can get a clearer idea of what it is you'd be looking to use it for. So I think 3 of you have now voted. I'll just give it another 10 seconds in case the final attendee who hasn't voted yet wanted to have a quick go at it. Okay, cool. I'm going to end the poll now. So hopefully you guys should be able to see your results now, I believe. Is that right, Ben? You automatically share results. Share results. So you guys should be able to see the results now. So interestingly, yeah, HMOs and buy-to-lets are the big draw, and also it's quite an even spread on how often you'd use Sprift. HMO mapping is a particular interest to you guys, and the local market report. Mid-afternoon's best time for things and evenings. Okay, cool. That's really interesting. It's good feedback for us to get. And is that poll automatically stored? Huh? Cool, fantastic. So what I'll do now is I will share the screen. Oh, you should be able to see it already. Can you guys all see? Can you guys all see the my screen? Yeah, I believe so. Hold on. Whoops, there's it. Sorry, it's a minute. So if I share, right. Cool. So can you guys see the screen now? I hope you can. So I'll talk you through the way it works. So the platform is based on a postcode or a granular level. So you, oh, hold on. I've got something more here. What's this? What's that?
Gotcha.
Where does that come up now?
Hold on. Firstly,
Exactly. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, okay, you should.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I just put
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sorry, it's my first time doing a group webinar. I usually just do them one-to-one, so it's a little bit interesting. So what I'll do is I'll pop that back up. Okay, so it's based on a postcode level, so you can search for any property in the UK. Then once you found them, you tag them using our tagging system over here. If you mark something as research, it's a property that you're interested in acquiring or interested in knowing further information on. And when you mark it as a research, our data research team back in head office will go off and they'll start acquiring information on that property, such as historic photos, floor plans. They'll just double check the planning data as well, etc., etc. You can then break down your portfolio to things that you're renting. So as your buy-to-let portfolio, stuff you're interested in developing, so any permitted developments you're doing or any properties you've bought to refurbish. You can even manage your own house on there using the My House. So I will demonstrate to you now using my property. I think you guys should have all seen this one already. How basically you use the platform. But the most important thing about this is about using the platform, I would say, and something that often gets forgotten or lost by our users, is that you should always mark them, as a research if you want additional information, because that will, our data team will go off and find some weird and wonderful stuff often. I mean, there's even one case of them finding the original sales particulars for when a property was built, which was about 15 years ago. So I was very impressed by that one. So let me show you that my house, as it were, the one I've been adding my own data to. So you might remember this one from the weekend. So we have this wheel system here as well. So by the way, that shows you the level of data that we hold for the property. Usually a property, the lowest I've seen is sort of 35%, but usually they're sort of at the 45 to 55% range as standard, because that's the level of data we have automated. The more recently a property has been sold or put on the market, or even rented, the more data we will hold for it. So to show you this actual report. So here's the report as it stands. So you see over here, the first thing we have is the Google Street View. What you can do is you can, using our Ordnance Survey map down here, so you can see here, you've got the boundaries of the property and you've got a pin on the center of the property. So we know it's the third one in. So you can look on the Street View and go, it's the third property in, which actually that is pointed at the correct one, but let's, for the sake of argument, let's just move it. So, okay, well, it's actually that one. You can zoom it in, zoom it out as well, and you can save it so you get the Street View pointing at the right property. I'm sure many of you have wasted a lot of time going up and down streets trying to find out which house it is from Google, only to be taking guesses or looking at numbers on street doors. So the first thing we ask people to do is that. The next thing we have down here, as I mentioned briefly, is the Ordnance Survey map. So what I'll do is I'll enlarge this and show you how you can zoom around the map and look at neighbouring properties. So if you're researching something, rather than having to go there in person to see that next door is, you know, a nightclub or a quick fit or something, you can just look on here and actually go, okay, well, I know all the neighbouring properties are this, and zoom around. You'll see on the map now currently that we've got these little areas clumping. So we've got the green and the orange. Now the green means that there's, or the green and the orange means basically there's too many title plans registered in that building for us to show using, you know, singular silver cursors. So what we do is we clump them up, and anything under 10 is green, and anything over 10 is orange. So for apartment blocks, effectively what we do is say, I'll click here. I didn't mean to zoom in, apologies. It's okay, I can show you the green one anyway. If I should click on this green one here, see up here, it pops up with all the addresses that exist within that building, and then you can then zoom around the key facts, and it'll tell you what the building is, the style it is, you know, square foot if we hold it on file as well. But the same thing with the silver ones, you can zoom around. So if we go back to our property we're actually looking at over here, and I click on the silver one next door, see that's Handelsbanken, you can pull up the key facts, and you could open that full report if you wanted just by clicking there. Just means that you don't have to go on, you know, individually search for properties. You can just go around the map and look. So these blue ones are the listed buildings. You see it's on Richmond Green actually, right next to Legacy, and you can see this telephone kiosks here are listed, and then the green tabs as well. Am I doing that? Yeah. So the green tabs here, they are tree preservation orders. So if we look on this one, you can see it's a yew tree, and it's got the tree preservation order number listed. The next thing we have down on these tabs is we have photos. So as I mentioned, we've got about 20 years worth of portal photos. So if the property's been sold or rented during that time, chances are we'll have photos for it. We will also upload multiple photos. So if we find some from, say, 2005, some from 2012, some from last year, we'd upload all of them and basically give you so you get a bit of a timeline of any building works or refurbishment works that have been done on the property. So you know who's refurbished it and when. Down from there, we have floor plans. So we've got about 12 million floor plans for properties across the UK. So it's about half the UK housing stock. Unfortunately, that is kind of limited because it's very London-centric, or, you know, or historically it tended to be more premium properties. That is obviously changing now. Properties that have been advertised for sale or rent more recently, UK-wide, tend to have floor plans more as a standard procedure, as it were. So we only expect the volume of floor plans we get to increase, and the coverage of the UK to increase as well. You can also upload your own photos and floor plans as and when you do them. Again, it's very easy to do. You can move around and set new photos as default. So if I set that one as my default, I'll ping up there. And the same thing with floor plans. You can just manually upload those as well. So I've got the planning data going back in most local authorities to just post-war. 1947 seems to be a good starting point. Some of the councils don't go back that far. Richmond, for instance, doesn't go back that far. So some of them, but anyways, the earliest date that they hold data for is what we'll start displaying. Okay, you might argue there's not much, transactional relevance to that, but it is quite a nice key fact or soft fact for the property. Now, I've looked at one property where the earliest application I saw for it was 1956 when someone applied to put a caravan on it, which I thought was quite sweet. But anyway, next thing down we have is the EPC. So this is how we get our style and square foot of property. So they tend to be fairly accurate and also a good benchmark to use against the floor plans. Also, certain people are using the EPCs to form part of their strategy on what they're trying to acquire. So F and G rated properties obviously are no longer legally allowed to be rented out on a new tenancy. So there are certain people who are looking for properties that they perhaps aren't E or above rated, so they can try and acquire them, because chances are some landlords just won't want to do the work themselves. The next tab we have down is the market data. So this is the information based on the postcode, so it's postcode specific. So for this property, it'll be TW9 1LX, and that shows you at this current time what's on the market, the average sale prices, and what the average yields are. So if you look at, what are we at? We're a terraced 4-bed house, or the 5-bed house, aren't we? So the average value of that in that area is 2.15 million, and the average yield on that is 4.84%. Sorry, that's actually a sick bed. Sorry for my eyes, which actually is a very healthy yield. So it shows there's clearly a lot of demand locally for decent family houses. Down from that, we have the demographics as well. So showing you the breakdown of the age of people who live there. And to the side of that, we have the room rate, which we pull from Spare Room. So that's the current range of property prices, of room prices in the area, if you're looking to do HMOs. We are refining that, so we will be including the average double bedroom price in that area, single bedroom. We're also working on the Airbnb nightly rate and the Airbnb room rate as well. And down in the bottom right corner, you can see here, and this is based on house price index data, the average capital appreciation or depreciation in certain areas at the moment over the period of a year or so. Well, I say a year, you can go to any far back as 10 years. So if you look at 10 years, the terraced house in this area has gone up 83.85%, whereas in the last month it's gone up by 0.44%, which actually surprises me that that's quite a resilient borough for London, because I'm sure a lot of you have been reading the press, and London is it's definitely been on a downward incline apart from the super prime areas for a while now. So we've got that. We've got the sales comps as well. So we pull our sales comps from land registry data, and we try and match it with the closest square foot and style of property. So if we have a look at this one, it'll ping up on a new tab and open up the details. So these are the most recently sold similar houses. So this isn't what's currently on the market or asking prices. This data comes from land registry. So this is actually the price achieved data. So if you look at where I clicked open, so I do apologize. This is why I've preloaded the computer, because running a webinar on here, as we experienced yesterday, takes up a lot of processing power for this machine. So it's let me just talk you through the rest of it. But you can open up the new reports anyway, and then if you're interested in getting additional information on that one, you can tag that as a research, which you can also do from sitting on the landing page, which I'll show you in a second, or you can go back to the landing page. So we also pull in rental comps as well. So rental comps is what's currently on the market for rent, and this is linked to Rightmove. So if you click on that, it'll pull up the listing from Rightmove, and you can see what's currently on the market in that area. And it's just a matter way of trying to save you time instead of having to look on our platform to obtain data and then having to look around the portals to get additional information. So you can see what's actually going on in the area, and then call up, see what agent's got the most similar type properties that you're trying to look for. The benefit of this as well is, if you were looking at this property as a potential conversion or development, you can refine this down to be flats or maisonettes or bungalows or however you want to do it. So if you look, okay, a 5-bed house around there goes to 5,000 a month, but actually if you look at this 2-bed flat, it goes to 3,450. And again, you can just click straight to the Rightmove listing. So maybe there's a potential play here to convert it into flats. Be a little bit tricky being a listed building, but I'm just giving it as an example. The same thing we do for sales as well. So we link to the current Rightmove listings and Zoopla listings. So whatever's on closest style and square foot of property, we'll take you to that. We bring up 10 as a matter of course, and you just go through them like this until you find the ones that you want to have a look at. Okay, so one of the first things we actually ask you to do when you open a report and you claim a property as your own is to update the value. So if you click here, you can update the value of the property. See, so I've had a desktop appraisal from Savills of this one in 2017. If I click save, it will, oh, what's it? It's because I haven't changed it. So let's say I've got a revaluation. When did I get my reval? So I got it in July or June. And I've done some building works to it. So it's now worth 2,600,000. If I click update this to the Sprift report and click yes, it will update there. And what we do on a monthly basis is we track your value of your home or your portfolio even according to house price index. So you can see over the space of the last year, your portfolio has gone up 0.3%, which then allows you to refinance, draw out more money and buy more properties if you were looking to do so. But it just gives you an indicator of how your portfolio is performing. And also, going forward, you could print off a report of how well your portfolio has been doing over the space of a year, take it to your manager and go, your bank manager, and go, well, clearly I know what I'm doing, because if you look, actually, I've been making money even in this troubled market. Therefore, you should have more faith in lending to me. Over here as well, you can update your rental portfolio as well. So as we build more features into the management, you'll be able to effectively link the value of your portfolios to your yields, potentially work out whether you're undercharging yourself in certain areas based on the local data. Got the last sold price and what it sold for. Again, that comes from land registry data. And then down here, we have a stamp duty and mortgage calculator. This includes stamp duty buy-to-let with the additional property as well. And if you were looking to buy as a first-time buyer, you could click that and it would bring in any discounts that you might receive. The only information that we actually model on the platform is over here, and that's the room layout. Unfortunately, there is currently no centralized database of room layouts nationally. So this is something that obviously we're working to do, but for the time being, we take what the style and the square foot of the property is, and using local data, average data, we say the average 3,122 square foot terraced house in this area is 5 bed, 2 bathroom, 2 reception rooms, and 1 WC. So what the data team will do is when you click it as a research, they'll go off, they'll audit that, and they'll say, it's not actually a 5 bed, 2 bath, 2 reception room, it's a 5 bed, 3 bath, 2 reception room. And they'll update that information. They'll also, where available, include the year of build, which we get from surveyors' databases that we have access to. Okay. Down in the left-hand side here as well, we have the freehold title plan on the map. So I think I showed you briefly earlier, but that is the orange boundaries on the property. So usually to get that boundary, you'd go and pay £3 to land registry. With us, you can just look on our plan, and it will show you properties that, the boundaries of the property, the accurate boundaries according to the title plan, according to land registry. Also has potential to show you where, potentially somebody's bought an additional garden and they're on separate titles, etc., etc. We also pull in the local authority, so you know who that is, ESAKE, council tax bands as well, whether it's in a conservation area or not, and if it's in a sort of a flood risk. So both of these are incredibly accurate. I spent several days trying to stress test them, and it's effectively accurate to 1 square meter. So if number 1 in a block of flats is very low risk, number 2 is medium, it will show you that difference. I think that's all for the front page. I will show you briefly as well, back up here, where you've got the My House highlighted red. This is where you can also click it as a research. So I'll just update over there. The data team will get in an email and they'll go off and research it for you. I'll just change back to My House. Yeah. Next thing down we have is the filing cabinet. So this is where you can keep all your documents related to this property and help you manage it during any developments, whatever your works you're doing, or during your tenancy. So it's very simple, just drag and drop, upload them into there. They'll sit on there and you can access them remotely from the cloud. There's also a place for you to enter your MPAN and MPRN numbers to help with your management of the building, and also transfer these details to the tenants. You've got the land registry, gas safe, electrical safe, and fence certificates. We signpost you to all of that. And again, if they're £3 with land registry, they're £3 with us. That's not our business model. Our business is getting members, not reselling documents. We've also got an area for you to upload your mortgage details. So you can link it to your broker as well. You can put in your interest rates. You can put in your time frames. So when it comes time for it to renew, you get pinged a reminder saying your initial rate is about to run out on this property. It's time for you to refinance. Same with the insurance as well. And you can use the calendar on the right-hand side to set key date reminders such as gas safety certificate renewal dates, tenancy renewal dates, scarily EPC renewal dates. If you can believe that's already been 10 years since they came out. Seems like just yesterday to me. Then you've got the freehold and leasehold information down here as well. So this is an area for you to track what's going on with your freehold and leasehold. If it's when is an optimum time for you to start renewing, and somewhere down here as well for you to just keep your maintenance service contracts if you took a British Gas home start policy or one of these style things. Next tab down is you've got your my power team or my property team, but people in the real estate industry like to call it their power team. So this actually gives you an opportunity, especially if you're looking to offload buy-to-let, so you no longer match your strategy, or you're looking to build properties to refurbish them to get rid of them. You can start uploading all of your team in there of who did the works, and all of this from the right, the second column of down across will be redacted. So the estate agent can effectively share this and say, if you buy my property, you're inheriting a tiler, a kitchen fitter, a roofer, a window cleaner, and they've done this work. So if anything goes wrong, they can do it. Or if you're investing out of area or selling to an international investor, then potentially they're going to want to know a recommended tradesperson locally. So it just adds that bit of buyer's comfort and allows you to sort of monetize your power team. And then the final thing, which is what Sprift was all built on, really, was the question of, you wouldn't buy a used car without full service history. So why'd you buy a house? So what we've done is we've allowed people to start building logbooks for their homes. So it's very simple to do. You just go add a new project. I've dug out a basement. I've rewired, put in a new kitchen, link it to your tradespeople. You can upload photos and it'll just save here, and you can start uploading your projects. You can also upload photos and invoices so people can see that history of any building works that you've done. So, all of the reports as well are timestamped and date marked just for compliance reasons and accountability of who and what has been edited. So any edits that have been made to the platform, we can see who's done them. So that if it's more for agencies, if I'm honest with you. But if they say, oh, the house is actually 10,000 square foot rather than 3, we know who it is who said it. So that pops up and such, so you can see who's been editing everything and what they've done and when. So all of this is printable as a PDF report as well, which is especially good if you're going to buy an auction or you're out looking at lots of properties on the move. Rather than just relying on the estate agency particulars, you can pick up this and walk in the door being like, okay, I'm fully informed on this one. I know it's just had a loft conversion refused, so I know that's going to affect my bidding price. I know that actually, that TPO could affect what I'm going to be doing there. So it allows you to just print it off and take it on the move with you, or potentially share it with joint venture partners if you're looking to do joint ventures. Now, this here is what actually we discussed in terms of the stressed and distressed asset fee. So if we have a look here, so this is published currently on a monthly, but it will be increasing to a fortnightly basis going forward. But if we have a look here, if I can do a control find, can I do a control find? You're seeing, obviously, you said you're interested in HMOs. There we go. Let's have a look, see how many HMOs we had on last month's list. So I got a 6-bed HMO in Liverpool for 110,000 was on last month's list. I got an HMO Victorian Terrace in Leicester for 280,000. These are all guide prices, by the way. And I've got one in Hastings. I've got 2 in Hastings actually, 225 and 240,000. And that's just some of them. But I mean, a lot of them are just your standard student lets. You've got Birmingham, you've got mid terrace properties, you've got blocks of flats, you've got retails, there's shops with uppers. So there's lots of scope for what everybody's looking to do on there. So that list comes out. What you do is you go through the list, you have a look and you see if there's anything of interest to you. If you email back to me or one of the data team, I'm interested in number 277, South Tyneside, the 2-bed flat for 30, guided at £36,000. We'll go off, we'll compile the data sheet, draw it down for you, and then that counts as one of your credits that you've taken. And then the final thing, which is one of the things a couple of you guys said you were interested in, is actually market data. So Sprift's ambition is to become the de facto property data company. So as such, we're starting to produce insider weekly reports for areas. So the kind of information that you'd see on here on a weekly basis is, what's going on in that market. So this is primarily geared at sales currently, although I believe we will be expanding this to be including lettings. But it shows you how many properties are listed for sale, what variation is on that, how many have been included or how many more to the market than there were last week, how many have sold, how many have been reduced, if any have been withdrawn. You also get, a synopsis of what's going on in the planning in that specific postcode. So you can see only 10 applications were received last week. That's down to. You can see the weekly listings and the planning data, and it's broken down in terms of demographics. So you can see the currently for market, so you can see what kind of stuff is going on the market locally. So if there's a shortage or an oversupply of certain properties, and also you can see what is actually the ones that people are most looking for. So if we look here, I mean, that is quite interesting, isn't it? If you look at that, so 26% of the properties looked at were 4-bed houses, whereas only 18% of the currently supplied is 4-bed houses. So we'd say if you're owning a 4-bed house, potentially now is the time to put it on the market. Whereas if you look at 2-bed flats currently on the market, it's 23% of the market, and only 15% of the people are looking for 2-bed flats. Maybe there's an oversupply of 2 beds. You can also see which agents are controlling the market in the area as well. And the demand. So this is the kind of thing we're moving towards now, actually. It's starting to show people so you can get a brief synopsis of what's going on in your local area, how things are going, and you don't have to call up the agent. This is very data driven, so it's not so subjective based on them just trying to get you to put something on the market or buy something. So that's the kind of things we're moving to, and that's the kind of things we're going to be starting to apply to our professional users as well, of which you are, I believe all of you guys in the room are members. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move it over to Q&A. If I can Q&A. Oh, what's that? One second, guys. Okay, cool. I think can you guys see Q&A? Can you guys see a Q&A? I think you should be able to ask questions now. So please feel free to ask. I've got one from James Hankin in the webinar chat. How long does the research take to come back? Same business day is the answer. A lot of times it will come back quicker than that, but that is during working hours. So if you apply during 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, then it won't get returned generally until first thing on a Monday morning. That being said, all of us tend to work weekends. So if you do have an emergency and it's 10 o'clock on a Friday night and you're out to view something on the Saturday morning, by all means do ping us all an email. Or ping myself and your data manager or data account manager an email, so that because we will attempt to do it wherever we can. I got one of my users got one back from me at 2 o'clock on a Friday night the other day because they're viewing it 10 o'clock on the Saturday morning, which I think they were a bit surprised by, but very, very happy. So okay, well you should be able to ask questions now. Is anyone struggling with that, or is there just no? Oh, hold on, I've got one. How do we set our market area? So you do that with your data researcher and your account manager. So if you ask them, if you inform them what they are, then as we start doing the market reports for that area, then we'll start sending them to you. Any other questions, guys? I'll give it about 30 seconds just in case anyone's typing away. Okay, I'll give it about another 10 seconds, guys, just in case anyone has any questions. Okay, James, I've seen that. I've also seen your email come in this morning. I think there's a little bit of confusion in terms of what free user actually means on the platform. So I've had a few people ask this. When you look at your account in the top left corner, it might say free user. That's actually because you have free access to the platform. Not because you you're restricted. It just means you've got free access to the platform, which is a bit confusing. I appreciate, but you are down as a paid user, so you should have unlimited access. That being said, if it does appear that you are locked down, as in you can't see things, then please do get in contact. Because if there's anything saying subscribe here, then that is no. So we need to be thinking. And if you email me directly, which is Toby Toby at Sprift Sprift, well, you guys know who we are now. You should all have an email from me anyway. Email me directly, and I'm happy to have a conversation about that. Cool. Any other final questions, guys? No final questions? Okay, guys. Well, I'll leave it there then. I hope it's been useful to you. I hope you have got a better understanding. Again, we're always here to help. You can always call the office. There's always somebody here if you have any immediate problems or immediate feedback. But listen, I hope you've had fun. I've enjoyed myself, and absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
You're one of the lecturers from last week and the weekend before. Yes. So